Hello, my name is Caroline Wintersgill, and I am the convener of the Term 2 optional module on academic and journals publishing. And what I'm aiming to do in this video is to give you a quick outline of what the course entails and why you might want to take it. So one thing that surprises people about academic and journals publishing is that it's actually the largest and most important area of publishing in the UK in terms of both revenue and employment. So consumer publishing in the UK, and by consumer publishing, I mean publishing that goes through the book trade, whether it's fiction or non-fiction, makes about 1.9 billion a year. Whereas academic publishing actually makes about 3.2 billion, so it's considerably larger. It's also a hugely varied industry. It ranges from, for example, work by university presses, which might be beautiful works of art history or cutting-edge works of philosophy, to textbooks on criminology or law or social work, to some of the world's most important scientific journals. But it's not just books and journal publishing. Technological developments are advancing at pace in areas of dissemination and metadata and analytics. And the opportunities for publishers within this area are really varied and exciting. So it provides exposure to new approaches in digital publishing, to cutting-edge research with an international outlook and global importance. And it's also an area where there are lots of job opportunities. There are opportunities at entry level, and there are excellent opportunities for career progression. The module aims to provide students with an up-to-date knowledge of the sector, and it's informed by insider perspectives from a range of guest speakers. It's part of the publishing programme, but we always welcome students from across DIS to this module. We've often had, for example, students from library and information science, because libraries are absolutely central to the scholarly communications ecosystem. But I can see links between, in fact, all the programmes on in the Department of Information Studies and academic and journals publishing, and I think the courses are richer for outside participation. So please consider coming and doing this course whether or not you're a publishing student. So what do we actually do on the course? Well, we start by introducing you to all the core concepts surrounding academic and scholarly dissemination and some of the key stakeholders. And I try in week one to kind of disrupt some of the publishing students' expectations about what publishing is. So for example, consumer publishing mostly goes through the book trade, academic publishing mostly doesn't. Academic publishing is much more global than most consumer publishing, which is quite territorially bound. Academic publishing succeeds because it's global. It has global players, it has global readership, it has global authorship, it has global suppliers. And that has its own interests, certainly, but its own challenges as well. So we cover many current debates in the course. We cover, for example, questions around open access and questions around piracy. We might do a project where we look at the Russian website Sci-Hub, for example, which we discussed in the course last year. This is a site which gives people free access to important scientific journals that would normally be behind a paywall. We discuss the ethics behind this. Is it actually justified for people to have access to these things, or is it a breach of author and publisher copyright? As I've mentioned, the course features a large number of specialist speakers, and I do that specifically in this area because it's really fast moving and it's very hard for anybody to keep a handle on everything that's changing. But it is also so varied that it's really great to have a range of perspectives. So I'm expecting this year, for example, to have an expert on open access issues. I'm expecting to have a portfolio manager for journals from a major scientific publisher. I'm hoping to have a global sales and marketing director of a big distribution organisation, and a senior librarian, as well as editors and university press directors from across the sector. So there's plenty of chance to engage with people who are professionally involved in the sector, as well as thinking about it academically through your reading and your group work and through the lectures. We do, I mentioned group work, and we do a fair amount of that. So on several weeks of the course, I ask you to do a little bit of personal research on a particular publisher or a particular journal or a particular sphere of publishing, and to present a single slide and bring it along to the seminar. And we collaborate to build a kind of portfolio of knowledge about the industry that way. We also try to do a piece of group work where there's the opportunity for groups to develop a publishing proposal and to present that at a kind of a publishing board comprised of everybody in the group, but also a senior figure in the industry to discuss what you've done. So that's all quite fun and exciting, I think. One question you might want to ask is, what would I get from this course if I don't think I want to be an academic publisher, if I think it's outside my sphere? And it's a very good question. My view is that it's worth your time, whatever area of publishing you're thinking about going into, even if what you think you want to do is to be a publicist for a children's publisher, for example. And one reason for that is that I think consumer and non-consumer publishing learn from each other all the time in the industry. For example, some of the very best and most successful publishing companies of our time, Macmillan, Oxford University Press, Bloomsbury are three examples, engage in both types of publishing and are the stronger for it. One informs the other. So I think if you have an ambition to go into management, for example, at any stage in the future, you'll need to be able to think strategically about the whole industry. And one thing the course does is enable you to do that. It gives you the tools for doing that and the background for doing that. Thank you very much for listening to this. I hope that's answered some of your initial questions, but I'd be really pleased to answer any individual queries. So please do come to me with those. Thanks very much.